The sleeper train from Shanghai to Beijing is about to depart. There's literally no one in the entire car, just me.
On the night of December 19th, Mr. Yang bought a sleeper ticket for the Shanghai to Beijing high-speed train. To his surprise, the entire carriage was empty except for him. His video sparked lively discussions online. Some people commented, "The Beijing-Shanghai line is one of the busiest routes in China. It used to be hard even to get a ticket. The Chinese New Year travel rush is just a few days away, yet it's so quiet now. It must mean that the economy is really struggling." Others found it hard to believe. "No way! Even if the economy isn't doing great, it can't be this bad, right?" A few joked, "Wow, how luxurious, renting out the whole carriage." The high-speed train ride from Shanghai to Beijing takes about 4 hours. Midway through the journey, Mr. Yang updated his viewers, saying, "Even now, it's still just me in the carriage. Honestly, it's kind of creepy." Has Beijing, one of China's major cities, really gotten this quiet? It's noon, and there's not a single person eating out. Where did everyone go? I'm starting to doubt if I'm really in Beijing. I'm heading to Yong'an Li Station on Metro Line 1, and this subway line barely has any passengers. It feels so strange.
This is Xidan at 8 or 9 p.m., one of the busiest areas in Beijing. You can count the pedestrians on one hand. There are some festive decorations, but there's no holiday atmosphere. Tomorrow might feel even lonelier. Downstairs from Pete's apartment is a Shimao Tianjie shopping mall. It's turned into a playground for kids. A friend of mine who manages restaurant equipment recycling in Beijing has to visit this place a few times a month. Only HMN and Uniqlo have their lights on. Even though the big LED screens are lit up, there's almost no one around. The Nayuki tea shop has already shut down for the winter. Looking at the dining areas downstairs, half of them are closed off for supposed renovations. Honestly, it seems more like the mall couldn't rent out those spaces and just gave them away for extra advertising. Hey-Tea has only 5 or 6 tables occupied during mealtime. This other milk tea shop hasn't had a single customer for at least 5 minutes. Hongbao has just 1 table occupied, and the people there seem to be calculating expenses, maybe the owner. As for the noodle shop and hot pot restaurant, apart from delivery guys waiting outside and employees scrolling on their phones, I barely see anyone else. Interestingly, there's still plenty of people buying lottery tickets here. Maybe it's the one thing still doing well lately. The food court's occupancy rate is maybe 20%. They're already offering deals like spend 100 and get 20 free. They're even encouraging customers to clean up their own trays. Honestly, with so few diners, one staff member could handle it all. This place feels like a kid's play area now. Shibei's tables are sparsely filled, and Xiaobu Hot Pot seems to be struggling even more. It lost a lot of money in its recent financial reports. The funniest thing is this old Sichuan hot pot chain. They're offering unlimited snacks, drinks, and even a 2-person set menu for 139 yuan. But the 3 and 139 looks like it was changed. Not sure if it's because selling it cheaper was too much of a loss, or if pricing it higher scared customers away.
Look at Beijing's luxurious World Trade Street now. This area, next to the famous Sanlitun and Silk Street markets, is located in the city's central business district. It's known for having Asia's largest LCD screen, the Dream Sky. Yet, this once bustling commercial street is now eerily quiet and desolate. 10 years ago, the World Trade Street hosted New Year's Eve countdown events. Even in the freezing winter nights, it was packed with crowds. Hailing a taxi to get home was nearly impossible.
At Beijing Railway Station, the scene is similar. The square outside isn't crowded. As I moved inside to check the waiting areas, there weren't many people at the entrances or in the station halls. Even the second-floor waiting room felt almost empty.
It's tough for the real economy right now. Even old establishments are shutting down. On December 17th, Beijing's iconic Xidan department store, with nearly a century of history, announced it would cease operations after December 31st. The closure stems from poor management and intense market competition. In recent years, Xidan struggled to compete with chain supermarkets and e-commerce platforms, leading to declining foot traffic. Management and operational issues further deepened its crisis. This news has prompted many locals to visit Xidan for nostalgic farewells. A longtime Beijing resident sighed, "The 94-year-old brand carries memories for generations of Beijingers. Even it couldn't survive. They're calling it renovation and upgrades, but we all know, in this economic climate, there's no money for upgrades. It's just closure." In many people's minds, Beijing, as a top-tier city, represents opportunities, a vibrant cultural life, and high wages, a place worth striving for. Yet, with China's economy in decline over recent years, foreign businesses are leaving, private businesses are closing, and the number of college graduates keep rising. The job market has become fiercely competitive, leaving more and more workers unable to sustain their livelihoods. On Douyin, a vlogger named Yuan Baobao shared her struggles. She traveled over 1,000 kilometers from Heilongjiang to Beijing's Majiao Bridge, only to go 3 months without finding stable work. When her mom called to ask about life in Beijing, she could only say, "It's fine," while choking back tears. Nearing the new year, she's too afraid to go home, unsure of what to do next. Why is it so hard for college graduates to find jobs now? I'm a master's graduate in computer science from the Central University of Finance and Economics in Beijing. My job requirements are minimal. No more than 2 days of overtime a week, subway commutes under 4 hours, 2 days off, 5 basic insurances and 1 housing fund, and a salary of 10,000 yuan. I don't need all 5 conditions, just 3 would be fine. But over the past 2 years, none of the 3 jobs I've held lasted long. It's either layoffs due to poor company performance, or the company couldn't pay salaries. Right now, I'm barely surviving in Beijing. Is this because I'm not working hard enough? I spend 4 hours on the subway every day, not sitting, but standing. I constantly pull out my laptop to revise proposals even while commuting. I leave home at around 7 a.m. to return to my 3,000 yuan rental late at night, around 11 or 12. After rent and food, I'm left with just 1,000 or 2,000 yuan a month. Even with all this, I stuck with the job. But in less than a year, the company stopped paying salaries, forcing me to quit. I'm still in arbitration over unpaid wages. Today, I saw new stats: 12.2 million college students for the 2025 class, up from less than 8 million 5 years ago. Employment rates for master's and PhD holders in 2024 are only 33%. It's even worse for undergraduates and vocational school grads. I come from a small county in Shanxi, where my parents are ordinary workers. I've studied hard for over a decade, and I've worked hard enough. The video of a graduate from a top Beijing university struggling to find work went viral on Douyin, garnering 357,000 likes and 41,000 comments. In the video, she details her job search during 4-hour commutes on crowded subways and working late into the night, only to face layoffs and pay cuts. Despite her relentless efforts, she can barely sustain herself. She questions why her life turned out this way, leaving many struck by her words. After all these years of hard work, where did I go wrong? Under her video, numerous users shared their own experiences. Honestly, I graduated from Xi'an Jiaotong University with a bachelor's degree. Now I'm frying food at a burger joint in exchange for meals and accommodation. No insurance, no pension, just 6,000 yuan a month. The scariest part isn't that wages aren't being paid, it's going 3 months without pay and still being afraid to quit. I'm a 2023 graduate. I'm working myself to exhaustion because I'm terrified of unemployment. I'll take any job, no matter how hard or dirty, as long as it pays. I graduated last year, and I couldn't find decent work in my hometown. I had to take a job as a factory repair worker just because the pay was slightly higher. The working environment is harsh and dusty. My girlfriend cried seeing me go through this, but I can't quit. I'm scared I won't find another job. Sometimes I wonder if working harder will fix things, but in reality, some things aren't within our control. The workplace in Beijing is brutally competitive. People joke that workers in Beijing fall into 2 categories, either unemployed or overwhelmed. Layoffs at big corporations are routine, and small and medium enterprises consider surviving a victory. Walking past the central business district at night, you will no longer see brightly lit offices. Many are dark, and the atmosphere has shifted completely. Everyone is overworked, often doing the jobs of multiple people, and salaries are delayed. Conversations are no longer about promotions, but whether your name will be on the next layoff list. The anxiety and pressure have become the new norm. That's why so many are leaving Beijing for other cities. Honestly, if it weren't for personal commitments, I might have left too. The economic downturn in China has affected every sector, and Beijing has felt the brunt of it. Many express frustration online at the job market. A Douyin vlogger reflected on life in Beijing in 2024, saying it's the hardest year yet. The economy is rough across the board. It's harder to make money. Smaller businesses are either laying off staff or shutting down. Even those that manage to stay afloat are robbing Peter to pay Paul, delaying wages, dodging debts, and negotiating with creditors. Bosses aren't even like bosses anymore. Every time our boss heads out with his bag, we know he's out hustling for business, trying to make sure we can still get paid. Another person highlighted the harsh realities of Beijing's job market. In 2024, competition for jobs is fiercer than ever. Companies quietly screen applicants with unspoken rules. no vocational school graduates, education's too low, no fresh graduates, lack of experience, no one over 30, too old, no unmarried women, risk of marriage and maternity leave, no married women without kids, likely to have children soon, no married women with kids, family distractions, no frequent job hoppers, unreliable. Over 30? Don't bother, your application won't even be opened. Even sending out hundreds of resumes often leads nowhere. Most are ignored or left unread. Landing an interview feels like winning the lottery, only to receive a brief 10-minute session and a vague, "we'll get back to you." Walking the crowded streets of Beijing, the city now feels emptier. Even the subway seems less packed. It leaves people wondering, why cling to life in Beijing? Is it for a distant dream, or is it pride that won't let them leave? China's economic downturn is causing widespread job losses and salary cuts, yet people are still burdened with mortgages and car loans. As a result, the spending habits of the middle and lower classes are shifting toward low-cost, minimalist lifestyles. Prices for luxury goods, high-end cars, and antiques are dropping, and even Shanghai is feeling the pinch. Official statistics show that China's economy grew by 4.6% in the third quarter, with the annual target projected around 5%. However, the reality paints a different picture. Businesses are struggling, job opportunities are scarce, local governments are heavily in debt. In November, consumer spending in Beijing and Shanghai fell by 14.1% and 13.5% respectively, diverging from the national trend. Analysts suggest that when foreign investment slows and high-level business activity declines, major cities like Beijing and Shanghai bear the brunt. According to local statistics, Shanghai's total retail sales of consumer goods in November dropped by 13.5% year-on-year, while Beijing's fell by 14.1%. Notably, online sales of wholesale, retail, accommodation, and dining plunged by 22.4%. Although early Double 11 promotions in October may have pulled forward some November spending, the combined data for both months still reflects declining consumption. From January to November, cumulative consumption in Beijing and Shanghai shrank by 3.1% and 2.8% respectively, even as China's national consumption grew by 3% during the same period. On December 19th, veteran financial journalist Liu Xiaobo analyzed the disparity between consumption in these two cities and the national average. He pointed out several possible reasons. 1. Accurate reporting. Data from Beijing and Shanghai may reflect more realistic conditions. 2. Population decline. Some migrants have left, reducing the actual population living in these cities. 3. Reduced business travel and tourism. Fewer people are traveling to Beijing and Shanghai for business or leisure. Companies and government agencies have cut travel budgets, and national business events centered around these cities have decreased. Even tourists are spending less. 4. Real estate impact. The housing market in both cities has shown signs of recovery, prompting homebuyers to cut back on other spending. 5. Frugality. Local residents are tightening their belts. Liu notes that much of the spending in Beijing and Shanghai relies on business professionals, but both foreign and domestic business visitors have sharply declined in recent years. When foreign investment and high-level business activity diminish, gateway cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Hong Kong suffer the most. Liu argues that consumer spending in these cities, especially in hospitality and dining, is an economic barometer. A true economic rebound will only happen when these three cities recover. As Beijing and Shanghai, China's political and economic centers, face economic decline, it reflects broader challenges across the country. Economist Gao Shanren remarked that China has experienced over 20 years of artificial prosperity while enforcing 30 years of strict family planning policies. He warned that the looming economic depression will be catastrophic, describing it as an epic-level downturn that could unfold over the next 20 years. Gao added, future generations of Chinese may have no choice but to sleep through it.